timed. Let's take a look at those banned champions coming out. This is 6-2 with Jhin enabled, so we may even see a Jhin today. We did, of course, see those Sven highlights, getting those pentakills. We'll see if we get any in Challenger, but of course, competitive play, very different world from solo queue.
So we've been talking a little bit about that. We're not expecting it to be like you have to pick Jhin. We probably don't even expect to see Jhin in any games, but there is the potential to see him AD carry in mid. It's a very low chance in our minds, though. But there are a high chance of support bans right now. None of them being Trundle, though.
No, not yet. Morgana and Thresh obviously aims at Masterwork. When Ham on both champions, he is also a big Alistar player, so that's still open for him. But Alistar being like a very competitive pick right now, may even be taken away with them, especially with Corki being taken off the field, taking away a lot of these priority picks. Gangplank as well, obviously, on the red side, and then Kalista back on the blue side will be the final ban. So I wonder what that shifts priority for the teams as we wait on our final ban.
Same thing we saw in LCS this week. Kalista banned, Corki banned. It's either first pick Lucian from the Wolves or Millenium get it and they'll crush the 2v2 potentially. I mean, this is p1noy, so I'm not as convinced the 2v2 is going to Millenium, even though they have won the last couple of weeks just straight up in those 2v2s. Kindred, as I think you already alluded to, is re-enabled for this.
Indeed.
So that is why she's banned.
Yes.
They are banned.
They are banned as the last ban from Millenium. And I believe that was, the instant lock-in of Lucian, as you correctly predicted. That will be that first pickup now waiting for Millenium. I would just see an Alistar here, honestly. This
is where it forces the hand, because there's a lot of OP picks available. In the LCS, we ended up in this situation as well, where you have like the Poppy, the Graves, Nidalee if you're running poke compositions, but with the Corki gone, I'm not too sure we're going to see that. You just see a lot of these power picks here. So Millenium get 2. Wolves then get at least 1 more from it. So it's not the end of the world from Wolves. You know now have a decent bottom lane, and you're only giving away 2 picks. And we have seen the Alistar as you predicted.
Yeah, Alistar comes out, even though the hover was there with Graves, but I mean, it was hovered, but I preempted it with Masterwork with his champion pool being those 3 champions that we've seen so far.
You are actually correct, boss. Don't worry.
But looking at Copenhagen Wolves now, Trundle is still open.
Well, yeah, that's it. Although I don't know whether I'd want to run that.
Well, there's a couple compositions last week and didn't have to run the Trundle, but did.
I'll concede that point, but I feel like Trundle right now in the support role is so much stronger when he's just facilitating other people, right? With the Nidalee, with the Corki, and Ezreal if you're running it. Like, that tends to be where Trundle's strength is. So I don't think the Wolves are probably going to go that route, just because it would just be a little bit of a weird one, I think, synergistically right now.
Maybe. They lock in the Victor and the Lees. Of course, that was very early on into the draft, so they could actually go anywhere with the Lucian. It just depends which direction they go.
That's true. That's true. I forgot Lucian. We've seen him in the top lane.
Yeah.
Cabo shot. I've got to adjust that in my mind that Lucian is a flex pick.
I've been spamming so much Lucian recently.
You're bad.
Top lane.
Stop
it's so good. Like, I'm actually seeing the light. It's legitimately good. But then you go against Quinn and then you die. It's like, oh, okay. But Elise was picked up alongside Victor, I should say. So pretty obvious where those ones will go. Victor mid lane and then jungle Elise. Could be the Lucian top lane. We don't know. But assuming it's either one or the other, we could have another AD carry being picked up here.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Millenium could just look to hold their top lane pick, but they haven't locked Poppy in yet. Sorry, the screen was glared over it. So they don't actually save their top lane pick. They're going to save their mid lane pick. Now, seeing the Victor is available, I wonder what that's going to prompt, because there aren't too many picks right now that are that dependent on like the enemy top and mid and support, which is, I assume, what we're looking for. Like, you've not got too many mid lane picks that are like, well, I can't do this into this. It's not like the old days where you'd have an immobile mid lane, and it's just like, well, if they're running engage, I can't do anything to it. Sure. So I guess you just want to round out exactly what it is, see where the composition lies. They have got Alistar Misfortune, which is a good setup for any kind of team fights. Yeah,
I'm looking at like team fight picks. Prettiest champion pool so far has consisted of like a Nivea or Orianna. Orianna could be great here with the Alistar and the synergizing with the front line. A Nivea would work, like you would just farm out the mid lane, which is hovering right now. But I mean, I don't know how it would operate in team fights versus like an Orianna that we've already seen from him, which could be good. But he could go anything. He's just swapping randomly at this point. Last pick was Braum, by the way, coming in from Copenhagen Wolves. So actually a new support, so I'm happy. So,
yeah, well, a new support for SirNukesAlot, not a new support just in general. I've seen a lot of Braum, especially here in Europe. Hybrid from G2's Braum has been exceptional. Now we get to see,
a lot of Braum,
does SirNukesAlot have the same level of Braum? I'd love to see it if he did. But over on Millenium, they do round it out with one of Pretty's picks that we've seen before, with the Orianna. So that's a team fight comp, if ever you've seen one. However, there is the potential for this to go quite wrong. Because the Poppy ultimate makes people untargetable. So we may see the Poppy ult Shockwave with combination, where the Shockwave goes off right after the Poppy ult, and it doesn't actually work. So we'll see. We'll get to that as we head into the game. But there's pretty strong team fight and burst setup from Millenium.
Yeah, it's true because it's actually almost all burst or instant burst, except the Misfortune with the 3-second channel. But the rest of it could all just miss.
Yeah,
in that instant. Looking at the other side, Alessandra was also picked up, so that'll be going to the top lane.
Yep.
So wave clear pick. That will be going up against Poppy. So yeah, that's fine.
And what exactly Copenhagen Wolves have right here is the ability to control all of their waves pretty easily. You've got Lissandra, who's excellent at it with the teleport now. You've got Victor for mid lane. You've got a Lucian who can clear bot lane very quickly and get back and just control and make sure your side waves are in the right place. So Millenium will have to engage at some point. If this game devolves to the point where we have a lane swap and an ARAM, Millenium will have to engage pretty heavily, but they have Alistair, they have the follow-up. It shouldn't be too much of an issue as long as their warding is correct, but Copenhagen Wolves could look to control and slow this game down quite significantly.
Millenium so far we've seen just be a really good team at just like one, closing out games, and two, finding opportunities to do so. Like in a lot of the games where like, you know, poker composition kind of stall out, they've found opportunities to like force an objective or something and just like accelerate the game past that hump that you usually hit with some compositions. So if there's any team that can make this work, it is definitely Millenium. But make sure you join the conversation on Twitter and tell us if you think they can pull it off. Hashtag MILWin or hashtag CWWin as we get into this one. And we can see those full compositions being brought up as we get into our first game of Week 3 here at the European Challenger Series. Copenhagen Wolves taking on Millenium. Probably our closest game today, I think, in terms of previous results.
I think so. Well, no one's really close with Millenium, is the thing. Millenium are running away with it right now. So you're as correct as you can be, Pulse.
Okay, I'll take it.
It's fine. It's not a bad start to it. But
all right,
anyway,
ship it.
As we head on to the Rift, I'm wondering now, if Millenium end up in standard lanes, I think they'll be happier, because it allows them to at least try and take control of the 2v2 like we've seen time and time again. And then from there, they become this very difficult pack to actually fight. Misfortune Alistair, if they start going mid lane, that kind of thing, you have to respect them and back away, because they have so much damage that it could be difficult for Wolves to stand in front of it. But that's running ahead of ourselves. We have to see how this game starts.
I actually wonder what masteries everyone's running on Copenhagen Wolves, because almost every single member is running biscuits, apart from Trowen. So I wonder actually what they're setting up, because they must have at least points in the middle tree, Cunning. So actually an interesting one there. Elise just hanging out in the jungle. Not too much happening in this early game. I do want to touch on the bot lane though. P1noy NukesAlot versus Masterwork Hansama. We haven't seen the bot lane from Millenium really be tested, because they went up against a tilting Holy Phoenix in week 1, followed by a weak bottom lane week 2. Now against P1noy and NukesAlot, who are a very strong bottom lane. P1noy, great individually. We even saw it last week with the Penta, which wasn't even just last hitting targets. It was like legitimately a good Penta. He was like dueling people and actually outplaying people.
Yeah, that is very true. I'm looking forward to it, to seeing this 2v2 settle for sure. But they are up against Lucian Braum from P1noy and SirNukesAlot. A lot of potential when you look at the catches in the lane. Just hit that Winter's Bite, the double tap passive to follow up. But they've got sustain. They've got damage in the lane themselves from the Misfortune. So I'm not too overly worried about either lane running away with this 2v2. I think we actually may see it fall back to just little bits of harass and nobody actually going fully aggressive unless Masterwork can find a Q flash. I think that's probably going to be the situation that busts this wide open.
Very possible. We're generally seeing actually a lot of Alistairs, even early on, go for Lucidity into Distortion, which both gives them the cooldown reduction on their combo and also reduction on flash, which is really important, so you can actually make those happen more often. You want to get the Distortion before you go for your first big play, so you can get the cooldown reduction on your second flash. So that's why we generally see it fairly early on, but it does hold the rest of your build a little further behind, so you don't get like the face of the mountain, but that's not the most important active compared to actually getting the engage off in the first place.
Yeah, that's true. In the bottom lane, Hansama and Masterwork managed to hit that level 2 early and pressured, but actually fell back after the first combo from Masterwork. You saw it on your screen. Just because they don't feel confident going all in this early. Ooh, Trowen had an opportunity against Djoko there. Not that often that you'll catch a Graves going into lane to gank and actually catch him in a situation where you're not against a wall. So there was potential, but Cocoon dodged out by Djoko.
Yeah, even in that one-on-one trade, I'm not sure that Trowen wins the prolonged trade, because even if he runs away, he's going to get hit by end of the line. Djoko has a point in W now as well, so you actually have to get in melee range, and then he either disengages or you die. And then Elise got some damage shaved off in 6-2 as well, so I feel like Graves wins that regardless, even if you just get the Cocoon. But yeah, he had a chance to deal some damage and maybe burn the health pot that was remaining from Djoko at the very least.
My eyes are going to be pretty focused, though, on what Wicked's doing this game, because the last couple of weeks have been a bit up and down for Wickd. He has had some good games. His stat line generally is quite positive, but I haven't really seen him have massive impact on the champions he's been playing. And I'm just kind of wondering where exactly he sits in the pack of top laners that we've got here in Challenger, because we do have a fair amount of top lane presence, and we haven't seen too much out of Kaze yet. But he's been quietly there, and I'm wondering now, is he the kind of player that's going to step up and beat one of the old guard of the LCS?
Possibly. Kaze hasn't really needed to do anything other than be like a standard top laner, because a carry either comes from Pretty or Hansama or Djoko turns up, and Kaze just needs to not die in lane and just be a front line and then win. And in this game, I don't think we're going to see too much different on Poppy. Definitely against the Lissandra matchup, he's not going to snowball out of control. And will most likely just be a front line for the heavy burst damage that's going to come in from Teamfight's Trom. That trifecta we already talked about, so yeah, maybe next game we draft something more interesting. It's kind of like the scenario with Werlip we had, where he picked the Maokai, and it's like, well, just pick a carry again, and the next game he went Fiora and just killed everyone, so I wonder if Kaze has potential on carry champions, because so far we've seen him on Poppy and Tam.
Well, I feel like you can carry on Poppy quite spectacularly. I think to put Poppy in just like an only utility tank kind of area, I think overlooks a lot of the damage and crowd control that Kaze brings to the fight that can actually... Oh, that's... that bottom lane trade. You're not going to see that too often, but you can see SirNukesAlot isn't on the trundle. Not to say he's a one-trick, but that just should have hit the mark. That Q should have hit.
Yeah, yes, it should. But going back into the Poppy point, I think it's very interesting just as a debate, because there's multiple Poppy builds that we see, and you can go with Poppy. But generally, the main one we see is like Sunfire into Iceborne Gauntlet, which is a decent amount coming in from the Sheen effect. As the mid lane goes toe-to-toe, Soren just hits level 6, as does Pretty. Soren is actually kiting back and forth and just taking auto attacks, but he's actually baiting for Trowen to come in, lands the repel, and will be following up onto Pretty. And now goes into human form, looking for the neurotoxin, but it's not quite enough damage to finish him off. Did burn the flash, however. That was a flash burn for a heal in the mid lane, and Trowen burns nothing other than time. Djoko now closing in from the bottom side. Shouldn't be able to get this gank off, as Soren, all he needs to do is simply walk away. Does force him away from the farm, however. Top lane, Kaze is going to get ulted by Wickd as he's out of mana, so just doesn't want to get in range of Kaze so he can get locked down by the ultimate. Yeah,
I mean, keep in mind that focus on bottom lane for a second. I was going to say, keep in mind the Steadfast Presence won't block it, but as you rightfully said, if he uses the Claw, the ult will deny him the ability to go across to the second point of it, so was necessary to get out of that.
Correct. Yeah, it sort of hurts him because he has his teleport and won't be using the second teleport of the game, or rather the first teleport of the game, to go back into his lane. He'll want to use it to roam if there's a skirmish that opens up. And now, because the first ultimate from Lissandra is a fairly long cooldown, it's actually quite big, because it means during the next 2 minutes or so, Wickd, if he teleports in, he only has his snare and a bit of damage versus having the ultimate to lock down a single target. So hurts a little bit, but so far this early game has been fairly quiet.
Vision control out for Wolves. You can see it is all around the shallow entrances to the jungle from Millenium. So they've got good read on where Djoko is, but Djoko's kind of spent a lot of time farming. He's only been going around for counter ganks ever since he had to dodge out from the gank from Trowen. So Djoko's not really too hindered by that. He's going to be happy just to farm up. He's hit 6 now, so has that big burst potential that you would expect from a Graves. And now is able maybe to look a little bit more aggressively. He knows they've got a pink ward topside. In on the engage onto Wickd.
Djoko coming in from behind. He has his ultimate, and Wickd is lining himself up. Djoko also has flash, so it's very easy to line up end of the line. In fact, he's clearing out the minion wave, so there's nothing to block. And preemptively, Wickd jumps in with the E, but he's just slammed against the wall, and that's a first blood. That was not well played, but in the mid lane, Soren is getting chunked down by Pretty. Following up, will be going into gravity field and getting stunned out. Soren has to flash away, burning that summoner. Now Djoko is invading into Trowen's jungle. Trowen goes into the top side, maybe looking for a dive, but Kaze's low on mana. Djoko, however, knowing the enemy jungle is in the top lane, goes and steals the blue by himself. May even donate over to Pretty, but actually walks back into the middle lane.
So that was very clean by Millenium on that gank topside. So when Kaze went in initially, he was outside of tower range on the first little aggression he went onto Wickd. That allowed Djoko to get into the jungle behind and sit in the tribush and get in behind the wave. Again, clearing the waves so the minions push in. They took almost no damage, maybe even no damage from the turret at all, because I think they actually hit Wickd into the wall away from the turret. So it just very clean, very crisp from Millenium. That's what we've come to expect.
That also lined up so well, because mid lane won by itself in the one-on-one. Top lane won because of the gank set up by Djoko, and because of those both things happening simultaneously, as Kaze is just aggressing onto Wickd, again gets the slowdown. It meant he could go into the enemy jungle uncontested and just take away the blue. That always never happens. The jungler just being able to waltz into the enemy jungle and take that one away. Also, Wickd is getting absolutely bodied in the top lane. Kaze is just trying to line up for another E, and Wickd jumps away, pops the ultimate on himself for a little bit of healing. Kaze thinks about jumping back in, but uses the E to jump back to his minions. But yeah, Wickd is not having a good time in top lane.
No, he's really struggling. I mean, yes, he is up in CS, but it's what you'd expect from Alessandro right now. But it's ever since now the Sheen's been picked up by Kaze. He's got the cowl that he's had for a while now, so he's just able to take full control of this laning phase from now on. Kaze is going to be able to sit in front of Wickd. All Wickd can do is push the lane out and force Kaze to deal with a stack of minions, and then the lane pretty much resets and Kaze starts to push.
Yeah, Wickd, I feel like, is mashing a Ring of Frost a little too quickly, because he hits it and is already slowed from the Hammer Shock, so he tries to walk away, but Kaze's already still on top of him, so it's actually kind of negated. You want to wait for a second when Poppy begins chasing you after using Hammer Shock, and then you get away and take less damage, but it's almost like a wasted spell in that sense.
Oh, Wicked. He's going in aggressively.
Not really the
he's
time
got
to
Trowen
do so,
here.
has to flash away. Trowen is here to deal the damage onto Poppy and jumps after using Repel, but Djoko's returning the damage of ended the line on the auto attack, trying to body block. It is not enough as Trowen flashes out. The ultimate comes across, and it's not quite enough damage. Collateral will not finish them off. And Wickd also slunks away, but Djoko lining up against the wall. Trowen turns around. Can this be the 1v2? But the Spiderlings will finish him off for the shutdown. A 2-for-1 over to Copenhagen Wolves.
Spiderlings MVP in that situation. Djoko just wanted to get that auto through, but couldn't. Man, that was a good read by the Wolves to be able to take that 2v2. I don't think they know Djoko was. I don't think they knew Djoko was up there, but even so, they were able to take the engage, made sure that they put the damage down onto Kaze at first to get that kill, and forced Djoko to kind of come back in aggressively. So we're going to take another look. The Cocoon landing on Kaze this time makes all the difference, because even with the cowl just regenerating him, plus the potion he was using, he just couldn't go through the ignite. Sorry, not the ignite, the burn from red buff on that. Djoko at this point desperately trying to get himself into range to take out Trowen as well, and Spiderlings ruin the day. He knows he can't turn an auto.
Yeah.
He doesn't even start the animation because it wasn't worth it at that point.
That's one of the saddest things in a Lee's Graves matchup. If you don't land the end of the line to clear out the Spiderlings against the wall before the trade starts, you will always hit Spiderlings. So you actually can't auto-attack Lee's until you cleared them, and that's like 1 or 2, and that's most of the trade gone. So one of the horrible things about that matchup, if you don't line it up perfectly, but still got that 1 kill on the top lane, 2, 1, and 0. All these kills going over to Djoko has accelerated them into Swiftness boots and the Warrior enchant and an extra longsword on top of that, and has also given 1 pink ward. So see if he can actually get some value out of that one. Top lane, Kaze is looking to be dove, steadfast presence, and a little more movement speed so he can juke the cocoon. And top lane is slowly being sieged in. Trowen's actually sticking around. Kaze is quite difficult to dive.
I think that's a bit of an understatement. He has the hammer as well, so he's going to be able to just, as soon as somebody starts coming into that lane, just go, well, you're going straight back out.
Yeah, it's pretty much suicidal to dive a Poppy with Keeper's Verdict and E. Like, if she hasn't just, like, used E on a minion, then it's just like, you are not going to make that dive happen. Pretty sidesteps as Trowen looks for another cocoon, so going to be backing away from that one. Mid lane, Soren should be able to clear out this pink ward while the pressure's being provided by Trowen. And now we do reset. So Millenium a little bit ahead in terms of gold in this game and picked up the first dragon. So they have those combat stats coming in from there and are slightly ahead in some of these lanes. Kaze putting some more damage onto Wickd and getting a range for another hammer shot just before he backs away.
I mean, that shows you how far ahead in Kaze's mind he is. Ooh. Bottom lane, there's an engage onto P1noy.
Yeah, Hans Sammer tried to get the double up onto a minion, but I believe it hits SirNukesAlot and didn't RNG onto P1noy. Wickd is stepping too close to these minions. Okay, now he's waiting. Now he's using Ring of Frost. That's the right timing. But Keeper's Verdict, another hammer shock, the ultimate from Wickd. But Kaze still has his E. The follow-up from Djoko, another hammer shock for the kill. Oh. And Trowen lines up for Kaze and Djoko to deal the damage. Now Djoko does have to reload and Trowen walks away. Another kill, 1 for 0 in the top lane. I'm
not sure shotguns are really the best thing to try and deal with spiders. Like tiny spiders, if I'm honest. You're probably going to do more damage
to your floor or, yeah.
But I'm having flashbacks to that episode of Simpsons where he's trying to change the channel because he joined the gun association. But anyway, top lane, really nice combo just to set up the turn on the engage. But I was kind of trying to explain that in Kaze's mind, that's how far ahead he is he trades through the minions anytime that Wickd is within range. He just goes on him straight away, charge into the queue, makes sure he gets the damage, and then walks away because Wickd can't trade damage effectively as long as Kaze's got the buckler on as well. Because he just moves into the buckler, gets the shield, and what does Wickd do? He can't trade.
Yep. That was actually really sick in the bot lane, even though nothing came of it. Masterwork waited until the last second where a concussive blows wore off, and then chose that moment to jump in with the headbutt pulverize combo, knowing that they couldn't get those 4 stacks instantly and therefore would win the trade, and bot lane had to back away. So just something small that was just nice to see there by Masterwork if you didn't catch it. Back into the top lane though, there's been... Gonna hold for a second. Hans Sammer has to flash away. Masterwork will block this damage. Ultimate from SirNukesAlot. Maybe able to get this kill onto Hans Sammer. Concussive blows and the auto with the empowered damage is enough to take him down. Trowen now into the fray, but so is Kaze. And P1noy drops low. Hammer Shock will take him out. The claw comes in and a lockdown onto Kaze. Should be enough damage as NukesAlot is trying to come in here, but there's the double kill coming out. Trowen almost goes down. And Wickd with the last auto attack is not quite enough. Mid lane, the one-on-one solo kill onto Pretty. Picks up the kill. But Djoko's here. The ultimate is not enough to finish off his target. Now he's out of mana. Lands the 2 auto attacks. The heal, the flash, the jump away by Wickd. And he is still alive, popping that potion as he walks away. That was so messy. 5-5 in total. Oh my god, I thought Kaze maybe had another kill there on Trowen, but Trowen managed to get away. All the meanwhile, Soren just solo killed Pretty. I'm pretty sure we'll get a replay of it at some point, but you know, Wolves threw a lot at that fight, and they actually come up fairly big from it. Millenium managed to hold themselves at a decent point ahead, but it does give Wolves some gold. Now Millenium have evened that up by taking a tower for themselves and have extended their lead. But man, that was nearly a massive play from Kaze. This is not good from Masterwork. Will use the Squad of Crab as the taxi service to try and get away. Does have the flash, but doesn't have his ultimate. I won't have to burn the flash as the assistance comes in from Djoko. He will walk back into mid lane. So we're going to see a repeat of
this is a mid lane kill. So the... okay, that was pretty clean cut. Laser over the wall into Chaos Storm. Following up. Okay, that's just a little bit of a weird read by Pretty to decide to go aggressive there, knowing the Chaos Storm radius over the wall.
It was also the fact that Soren had a flash was the big thing there. in this trade. Kaze gets locked down, but he's quite tanky. Keeper's Verdict gets interrupted by the Cocoon, and Soren's coming in with the laser. Djoko turning around as well, but he doesn't really have the damage to deal with this. And Shutdown comes in for Trowen, just being caught out there onto Kaze. So bot lane will be taken as a result of that.
Well, this was the Wolves recognizing that Alistar was mid lane, so whoever was bottom lane was likely only 2 people, and if they send 4, they know they can take the 4v2, and they were kind of just banking on Hans Zimmer being back. I don't know whether they had vision while he was recalling or something like that while we were in the replay, but that was a good read by the Wolves, making sure that they can take out objectives on the bottom side of the map just to even it up from what Millenium just took. But Trowen is having a decent game here, probably above decent actually. Trowen's having a pretty good game. And he's doing it on a side of Elise that we don't commonly see in Europe recently. Recently, European junglers have been going for that Runic Echoes, have been going far more towards AP in their masteries as well. This time it's Strength for the Ages on Trowen's Elise, plus the Cinderhulk as well on that Tracker's Knife. So he's looking to be just tankier. It's something that we actually see a lot more in, I believe it's LCK. We see a lot of their junglers going for the tank setup. So just a little different to what we normally see in the LCS.
Correct. There are some junglers who are running Strength of Ages, but it's varying from around 15 to 25% when you look at the different junglers from AD all the way over to Bruisers. So there's some people who run in the LCS, but not everyone just yet. It is mainly Runic Echoes and the more damage-orientated build, as you pointed out. Djoko and Kaze moving into the top lane here. P1noy and his support are heading up. So is Trowen. This will be the engage. It should be a 3-on-3 once everyone arrives, but P1noy's locked up from the Keeper's Verdict. Djoko does not really get in range to help his ally. Masterwork will just take away this ward real quick. Mid lane looking to rotate. Lots of movement going on right now. I don't think anyone's going to get caught out. Pretty should be able to take away this pink ward. And Wickd is free to push down the bottom lane. Doesn't have his TP though. So something to keep in mind if they get caught in the trade.
So we ended up in standard lanes. We were talking about the 2 versus 2 from Millenium. How good would it be? How good would it be compared to P1noy and SirNukesAlot? We'll take a look at the farm difference between the two. 196 to 154 at the 20-minute mark. Oh, but it's pretty in the middle lane that may be caught out here. Trowen holds the cocoon
and lands the lands the cocoon, but it is cleansed out by Pretty. So burn the summoner. And the fact that Pretty doesn't have his flash as well is pretty big. It means next time he's get caught by any CC, he is basically dead. Masterwork is here to peel for him. NukesAlot on Braum. Pretty decent so far. I think we have to revisit this in like 10-15 minutes to really judge whether it's better than his Trundle. And yeah, just blue donation coming over. This should be the second dragon going over to Millenium. I don't think they're going to contest, just with timers on their buffs, timers on everything in their jungle. With Wickd being in the bot side of the map as well, and P1noy being kind of in first, Millenium will just take this one away. It's not the biggest deal. It's very rare you get to Aspect, and you don't really get combat stats from 2, 3, or 4 dragons. The other one gives you movement speed, which is nice for rotations, and a little bit in team fights, but it's 5%, so it's not the biggest deal. This could be potentially greedy from Djoko. Cocoon does not land. He already used the quick draw, so he wouldn't be able to get over the wall.
Let's try
the ultimate. Worth the try. I would have gone for it.
So one problem right now that Wolves have is there's a little bit of redundancy in their movement on the map. And by that I mean that Millenium had the wave pushing in towards the bottom lane, and Kaze was just kind of sitting there farming it out and wasn't pushing all that quickly. Middle lane wasn't going anywhere because Victor's clearing it out anyway, and it had been pushed in top side for Lucian. So Wickd was just kind of standing mid lane looking to try and set up a pick. And the Wolves weren't actively working on their vision control at the same time. So there was just this moment on the map where the Wolves actually weren't doing too much. However, now they want to go aggressive. They may have found Hans Zimmer, but it's SirNukesAlot that's caught. Masterwork
comes in with the combo, and now the TP out from Wickd actually cancelled out for the cooldown as he goes into the bottom lane, and Kaze is pushing. But now Kaze has the TP advantage. Wickd still has his ultimate to interrupt, so that's there. But Kaze, if he just breaks vision for a second, or more accurately 4 seconds, then he'll be able to teleport away and get into the fight. Mid lane is now being pushed in from Copenhagen Wolves. Pretty, I believe, should have his wave clear, definitely with Djoko. And P1noy tries to respond with a little bit himself from the culling, but at rank 2, it's not going to be tearing up faces. Actually sitting on 2 items though, both AD carries are. So typically I build Essence Reaver into Rapid Fire Cannon, gives you the crit to synergize with the Essence Reaver. So fairly cut and dry in the item build so far.
Man, you've always got to think about that Graves wave clear. You're like, it's a jungler. Don't worry about that. Junglers don't have wave clear. What are you talking about? Oh.
Q. Just one shot the
end
wave.
of the line.
Right.
Yeah, nice. Okay, forgot about that. That plus an Orianna works out a treat in the middle lane. Or, to be honest, and most champions plus a Graves has enough wave clear to hold a wave off something. As long as it's not a committed push. As long as it's not like 5 people running at the tower, you're probably not going to sit there if they're looking to fight you.
It's still difficult, though, because even if they dive the Graves, he has smokescreen, and getting disorientated underneath a tower in the middle of a smokescreen is really annoying. Blind is one of the most annoying things in the game. One
problem that Millenium do have right now is they can't actively control 3 waves. At least not without everybody from Millenium being mid. Ooh.
Djoko is going to get chunked down to half before jumping over the wall. Has Hex Drinker, though.
Double knockup, but it's not enough for an engage.
Just chunking the tower. Again, culling, just used for poke. Actually got a lot onto Masterwork.
And what I mean by they can't actively control 3 waves is they can have the Misfortune go top, which they've done twice now, but it does leave an opening in that middle lane for a fight, because Misfortune has to run down. Yes, she has extra movement speed, but it's not really fast enough to get right into a fight. You have Poppy in the bottom lane with teleports, and that's okay. But it just means that they have to bounce between top and mid and can't really commit to any kind of 1-3-1. They're stuck on a 4-1, which is normally fine. But the fact that the Wolves have such good side wave control means that every time Millenium push out top, somebody just goes there, like Wickd goes there and clears it, or P1noy goes there and clears it. And it's very quick for them to actually deal with that and come back to the middle lane.
It's time for ZZ Rot. That would mean that the wave would always be pushing away from them. But there's no one really on this team who could efficiently build a ZZ Rot, so... Banner of Commando could be okay on Masterwork, coming in here. It would be maybe a few minutes out, but would solve the issue as you place it down every couple minutes. And then if you set it for a play in advance, would allow you to do that.
The biggest problem overall with the entirety of this lane setup and side waves is that it's the Victor is the linchpin here for Copenhagen Wolves. Is Victor doesn't have to move from mid lane and can always deter a push because you clear the wave out so effectively. So what it means Millenium will be forced to do in the next few minutes is engage with the Alistar-Orianna combo. And they're going to be forced to go either under the turret or behind it. So they'll need the right vision control for that, unless Copenhagen Wolves make a mistake and push forward and get caught. And that's where Millenium will struggle, because they won't gain enough ground on top and bottom to actually make this game completely winnable for themselves. They have to play a vision, an objective game, to try and get that team fight to go against the Wolves.
Additionally, as Hans Sammer almost getting bursted here, Master will knock away Soren with Headbutt. Additionally, if they get into a team fight as well, it's actually fairly difficult to kill half of the team. Wickd will pop his ultimate on himself. Trowen could just jump in the air with Repel. NukesAlot is going to be fairly tanky. Soren and P1noy are going to be fairly far back, and they have disengaged from NukesAlot's ultimate. So it's actually fairly annoying to get the full burst off from Millenium.
And SirNukesAlot is just going to stand in front of the bullet time.
Yeah.
He's just going to, everyone gets behind him, and it's very difficult to utilize the full extent of that ultimate. Yes, it's a massive cone, and he's only got a shield.
But if you stand right in front of Hans Sammer...
Oh, yeah, if you stand
but
at the
point... But
then
Kaze, keep his verdicts him and knocks him away.
The multi-faceted counterplays here.
Soren catches Hans Sammer again with the laser, the death ray. Kaze and P1noy maybe going head-to-head here. Kaze has completed his Iceborne Gauntlet, so P1noy does not deal damage to him anymore until he starts picking more damage items up. Probably needs another damage item to really start chunking through Kaze. Once he hits those 2 items there from... What was that?
Well, I'm just going... Yeah, that's correct.
There was a sassy way of agreeing with me. Like,
sorry, I didn't mean to sass you. So in my head, I was like, that's right. But he has got a Spirit Visage, so it's not the Sunfire Cape. So he is a little bit squishier than he normally
that is correct.
would be.
Pretty.
You could say, if it was correct.
Yeah, if I was on point there. NukesAlot getting knocked into the tower by Masterwork and knocked up as well, but Masterwork has his ultimate. He's fairly low as he pops it. The ultimate from Pretty is more just trying to save his ally more than anything as NukesAlot drops low. Hans Sammer with the ultimate coming in from the side. Collateral damage finishes off NukesAlot, and now Soren and Trowen may have to split it. P1noy is sticking with his mid laner, and that is a 1-for-0 over to Millenium, and I don't think there's going to be any follow-up though.
Man, Hans Sammer couldn't get maximum damage from that because he stopped just shy of the lane, which meant, yes, he was safer, but couldn't actually hit people with that ultimate properly. He got a lot of damage down onto one target. Kaze is going to teleport in. Can he cross the distance? If the Wolves stay, they certainly can follow up. Oh, that is a good smoke screen.
The trap is being closed in. Soren has to flash away, but I don't think it was even worth this situation. It will pop his ultimate. It's just not enough to take out Djoko as he walks out of the fight. Masterwork and Kaze leading the charge, trying to cut off P1noy. Trowen's there, might be able to land something to CC up Kaze, but he's going after P1noy and he's trying to stick to him. Meanwhile, Wickd is getting taken out. Kaze finds his quarry, takes him down, and Trowen is probably going to drop as well. He's being chased under the tower. Masterwork is taking up the tower for Poppy. NukesAlot has respawned from base and is looking to assist, but there is no one to assist.
And that's what we talked about. Millenium have to team fight. They have to get these fights and engages from Masterwork and Kaze, and they get one. It works out very well for them. They've got 3 members still down for the Wolves, so they turn their attention to Baron and do have a fairly quick Baron clear right now. When you look at the Poppy damage, you've got the Misfortune damage as well. Now the ability to clear waves to the Wolves just got that much harder. Obviously, you're going to have that added resistance on some of the minions now against the magic damage.
Yeah.
This is not the first engage. This is the second follow-up with a good smoke screen. So that, by the way, is such a good W by Graves. Because of the way it now reduces vision, there's no way the Wolves can see effectively what is coming from the bottom side, so very difficult to like flash reactively outside of that situation. From here, Millenium have the ability to catch up. They have the extra movement speed, the dashes, the ability to stop P1noy from dashing away at first as well. So Millenium just know that they can take this trade for as long as the Wolves block out the, or at least halt the engage at first.
Now Trowen might be able to get away here. Just have NukesAlot and the rest of his team to assist him. Poppy is such a depressing champion to run away from because he doesn't deal like all of the damage instantly. It's just like slow and hammer shock and then slow and then I'm dead. It's just like you don't think like the first combo is gonna kill you and then you carry on trading and then once you want to run away you just can't. Soren, the ultimate coming out. NukesAlot's trying to block the ultimate, but it's taking so much damage by himself. P1noy jumps in, is already picking up one target, takes down Pretty, and the flash comes backwards from Hansam, and he burns both his summons for that. But Kaze wants blood. He comes in with a Keeper's Verdict, but has been CC'd up coming in from the groundy field, and it's this one-man army with a shutdown, moving on to P1noy, looking for the triple. Scumbag Masterwork picks up the kill. 4 for 1. Kaze taking the team on his back, and I was wrong at the start of the game when I said I don't think he could carry.
I was gonna say, I don't know what you mean by puppy can't carry, man. This is what a puppy does when she starts running away with the game. The thing is, Kaze's been able to win the 1v1 for like the longest time in this game, and that translates into his ability to just cross through the jungle with nobody able to stop him, and he has just been unstoppable in this game. The rest of Millenium have just been putting out enough damage that then Poppy comes in and goes, oh, well, I'm going to clean up a couple of these kills here a little bit. And Millenium, with this Baron buff, are just so difficult to force away from towers. And this is the problem, is like Soren steps forward to try and get damage down onto the carries, but the damage in response from Millenium is way too much to deal with. Even with Wickd having a really good flank in from the side there, appearing behind some of the backline. Look at how strong Kaze is, how tanky he is. He just is able to soak up time from Wickd and Trowen and then go in for the kill here for the double.
Yeah, color me impressed. Like Kaze, literally a one-man army. Just killing everybody. And went for 2 armor items. It was actually 3 AP damage dealers who were hitting him in the last fight and just couldn't kill him. So yeah, also picked up the Giants, but on top of that, so just has an absurd amount of health, absurd amount of resistances, and a Merc Tread, so he's more resistant to CC.
Yep.
And yeah, Poppy.
Not only that
strong.
though, on top of all of that, Masterwork has wind speakers. So it means as soon as he pops that heal, it's like, oh, have some more armor and MR. Like,
and because Kaze is, I believe, the highest level in this game, yeah, along with a lot of the solo laners, because wind speakers applies on your highest level. So Kaze being level 16, it will give him level 16 version of stats. That's almost around 20 MR and armor, which is just so much. And NukesAlot, even at the start of the engage, has been shoved out of the fight. Kaze is just going to dive the turret and set up P1noy for the kill. He goes down, and Soren, looking to be followed after as well, drags him into the fight. And Masterwork is just dragging all the kills into this game. Gets 2 in there. and the tower, and that with 3 kills, and now they're just looking to pick up the game. SirNukesAlot, nothing really he can do with Wickd, who's been zoned away. And Millenium, after that Baron, have just opened up the game and closed in on Copenhagen Wolves. They want the kills. This is just Millenium style right here. If there's a kill to be had, we'll take it before the Nexus. 31 minutes, and Millenium pick up the win.
That went from